Good afternoon, everyone. A man has died in Grand Forks after being pinned underneath a piece of equipment at a construction site. Police say they found the body of 54-year-old Gerald Schwan from East Grand Forks just before 7:30 this morning. Police say Schwan was alone and the death appears to be accidental, but they're still asking you to contact them if you have any information. This marks the third unattended death in Grand Forks in the last 10 days. Meanwhile, new information on a deadly crash in the metro. Police are now identifying the man who died at the Interstate Exchange as 39-year-old Lucas Azure of Fargo. Authorities say he was riding in a car this past Wednesday with 50-year-old Don Keplin at the I-94 and I-29 interchange when there was an issue with the car they were towing. They stopped on the ramp and got out to check things over when another car hit them from behind. That driver is 41-year-old Shandy Cordner. He's now charged with possession of meth. Keplin was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. No other information has been released. Turning our attention to the weather now, we're starting off June on the right foot, and after getting a beautiful day to kick off the weekend, our sunshine is expected to continue tomorrow. Here's Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson with a first look. Hutch.
Stacy, thanks so much. You know, temperature's not quite warm enough to run through the sprinkler for most of us kids, but all in all, the conditions have really improved. You're looking at our Luther Family Ford view there. In South Fargo, traffic just dandy, as is the weather. And our temperatures this morning started out a little bit on the chilly side with some frost reported here and there. But for now, things are a little bit quieter. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. Some clouds to the north of us, some clouds to the south. We're right in the middle, and that's exactly where we want to be. Temperatures are as warm as 80 today in Bismarck, 70s across most of eastern North Dakota, including you in Grand Forks at 73 degrees. It's 10 degrees cooler out in Wadena, but even you have enjoyed a nice warm up in the northern portions of Minnesota from those low 50s yesterday at this time. 71 in Fargo as we head through the 6 o'clock hour, so we stay very mild as we go through, and then we'll see temperatures taper off into the 60s for much of the late evening hours. It will not be as cold overnight and into your day tomorrow. Your hour-by-hour forecast coming up for a super Saturday, but we do have a chance of some showers. We'll detail all of that coming up here in just a few moments.
All right. Thanks so much, Hutch. There was a time in this country when the idea of a mass school shooting was unthinkable. Now it's essentially part of the Common Core curriculum. While government officials fight on Capitol Hill, students grapple with the realization that their school may be next.
It's crazy to know that when I come into school every day, I'm lucky that I get to come home. I think that's not something that I should be feeling. I'm glad I was able to come home from school today.
That goes through your mind, that you feel lucky to be able to come home?
That it's something we have to live with, and it's hard to accept.
12-year-old Michael Kawadi is one of the millions of kids across the country shaken after the school shooting in Uvalde.
It could have been our school.
It could have been your school. How do you deal with that?
It's a lot to take in, definitely, and I think hearing about what happened, it almost feels surreal. I think school's a place to learn and not a place to die, and I'm praying for all of the families. I can't even imagine what it's like. There's no words for it.
It's like those kids could have been superstars, like they could have changed the world, and then they're just gone. Can't bring them back. Like, that's hard, and some of them had passions.
No child or anybody going to school should have to live in a fear of something happening to them and they're not going to return home.
Raise your hand if you feel safe coming to school. All of you. Why is that, Adrian?
Because police officers walk around the school, and we do drills, and we're prepared.
At school number 1 in Little Falls, New Jersey, police officers are on patrol daily.
Police presence is a big deal, especially during these times, so we want to make sure that everyone is okay.
These are the conversations happening in schools from coast to coast. Today we spoke with our local school districts to find out more on their safety protocols and how often they're reviewing them. We'll have much more on that tonight at 5. Authorities in Texas say a prison escapee was shot dead by law enforcement overnight after he killed a family of 5 in their cabin. Gonzalo Lopez was serving a life sentence for murder when he escaped off a prison bus and led authorities on a 3-week manhunt. Last night, law enforcement found the convicted murderer, but not in time to avoid the tragedy.
Begin tonight with some tragic news. 5 individuals were murdered in a residence not far from this location. There is some information for us to lead to believe that Gonzalo Lopez was the individual that broke into that residence and committed these murders.
Police believe the family had no connection to Lopez. They say the 46-year-old had escaped before the incident. He was able to hide out for nearly 9 days. The state agency investigating the mass shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde has determined that the commander, facing criticism for the slow police response, wasn't carrying a radio. Arredondo was in charge of the multi-agency response to the shooting. Authorities have now said he was communicating with other law enforcement officials at the scene. The head of the Texas Department of Public Safety says he believes the active shooting had turned into an hostage situation, and he made the wrong decision to not order officers to breach the classroom more quickly. Arredondo was also not informed of 911 calls coming from students trapped inside the classroom where the gunman had holed up. The gunman in Uvalde, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, spent roughly 80 minutes, now we know, inside that school. President Biden is challenging Congress to strengthen gun laws following the recent mass shootings in Texas, New York, and Oklahoma. The president made this plea on the same day the House Judiciary Committee approved a gun legislation package. This package must now pass a vote on the House floor and in the Senate before it becomes law.
Students are once again walking out of class to demand gun safety in an effort to pressure lawmakers to act.
This isn't about taking away anyone's rights. It's about protecting children.
Using candles as a backdrop, President Biden urged Congress to pass new gun control legislation in the wake of mass shootings, including those in Uvalde, Buffalo, and Tulsa.
For God's sake, how much more carnage are we willing to accept? How many more innocent American lives must be taken before we say enough, enough?
The president has called for a ban on high-capacity magazines, universal background checks, new safe storage laws, and red flag laws, and a return to the assault weapons ban of 1994 that he helped pass as a senator.
If we can't ban assault weapons, then we should raise the age to purchase them from 18 to 21.
House lawmakers could vote as early as next week on a major package of gun safety proposals, including a ban on high-capacity magazines.
Democrats and Republicans on the Judiciary Committee debated for nearly 10 hours Thursday. The committee vote fell along party lines.
This is on our watch. Where is the outrage?
This bill would not stop the terrible events. It wouldn't harden schools, but it will sure take away the rights of the American people who follow the law.
In the Senate, a small bipartisan group says it's making progress on proposals to address red flag laws, school safety, and mental health. Those more narrow measures would need 60 votes to advance in the evenly divided Senate. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Regardless of what Congress does, some states are deciding to move forward on their own. Yesterday, lawmakers in New York passed a bill to raise the purchasing age for assault weapons from 18 to 21. That's now heading to the governor's desk. A groundbreaking is happening for the construction of the Green Bison soy processing plant. The $350 million soybean crushing and refinery complex is being built in Spiritwood, North Dakota. The plant will be capable of processing 150,000 bushels of soybeans every day. All of its byproducts will then be shipped to Marathon's renewable diesel facility in Dickinson. Companies plan to look at other opportunities too for agriculture and to support renewable transportation fuels for the future. In today's Consumer Alert, the Labor Department released the latest job numbers today, and the results are strong but less than what we've seen in recent months. Overall, employers added 390,000 jobs in May. It's the first time in a year monthly job gains have fallen below 400,000. The unemployment rate didn't change, and there's plenty of work available, a near record 11.4 million job openings. President Biden says it's an indicator the economy remains strong, though inflation is starting to impact the job market. The Federal Reserve is expected to issue another interest rate hike this month. Analysts say the jobs report is good news for workers who may want to change jobs to keep up with the higher cost of living.
We're seeing so much robust hiring, and it's probably good news for workers too that employers are continuing to actually bring more people online. And this reset means that the number of jobs created every month is going to slowly go down.
Overall, the job market is expected to remain strong in the coming months. But Tesla Shares tumbled today on a report that CEO Elon Musk is considering laying off 10% of the company's workers, as well as new questions from U.S. regulators arising over hundreds of complaints of vehicles braking for no reason. In an email to Tesla executives titled "Pause All Hiring Worldwide," Musk wrote that he, quote, had a super bad feeling about the economy and that the company needed to cut staff. On the other hand, Walmart says it's building 4 next-generation fulfillment centers, creating more than 4,000 new jobs. The first of these new centers will open this summer in Illinois, with others to follow in Indiana, Texas, and Pennsylvania. The retailer says with these new fulfillment centers in place, it could make next-day or 2-day shipping more available for millions of items. Heading into the weekend, record high gas prices are turning into speed bumps for Americans who plan to travel. Today, the nation's average price for a gallon of regular gas is $4.76. That's another new record, and experts say don't expect it to get better anytime soon.
This may be the low point for the summer in what could become certainly a very expensive summer to fill your tank.
Demand for oil continues to outpace supply, and the war in Ukraine has caused millions of barrels a day of Russian oil to stay off the market. Analysts say demand will likely peak mid-summer, with some relief not coming until the fall. Locally, gas prices are slightly below the national average. North Dakota, the average is now $4.44. In Minnesota, $4.50. Still